Well, right now we have with us Senator Shehu Sani, who is the chairman, Senate Ad Hoc Committee on Humanitarian Issues in the Northeast. I also know you head the Senate Committee on Domestic and International Debts.
Yes, I did.
Excuse me. Well, very quickly, I know that you were involved in this well, maybe not this one, but you did know something about negotiations. You had called for negotiations. It was from you. We did hear that 5 Boko Haram commanders, commanders or terrorists, whichever name they decide to use now, because the president's special advisor did have an issue with that. But you knew something about this. From what you have seen so far, are you happy with how events have turned out?
Well, like I've always insisted, there were 2 ways to which we can get these girls out of captivity. The first is to use force, and the second is to dialogue. Now, the first comes with a lot of consequences, and that has to do with the very fact that you have to know where the terrorists are keeping the girls, and then you have to be prepared for the eventual consequences that may come if you decide to use military force to bring them out. And all over the world, that has not been a good solution. Now, the second option is the dialogue, which is the negotiation. And in the options that are available before the negotiators and the government is that it's either ransom is paid or the girls are swapped with detainees, the insurgents that are in detention. And the best of the 2 evils in court is to swap. And that was what the negotiators and the government and also the international monitors settled. And then that was done and the girls were retrieved. And I couldn't have thought of any better option because it is better to get hostages out of captivity, and then you let her deal with the consequences. So the process of the negotiation and the result is the best thing that could have happened. And without that, it could have been very impossible to get the girls out of captivity.
We still have 113 more still in captivity by the numbers that we know were kidnapped. How soon do you think that they will come back if it's taken this long? Because from what we did hear from the federal government, the initial 21 that were released as a sign of good faith. They said that nothing was paid, nothing was exchanged for those 21 girls. A lot of people doubt that, but then they said that another 82 or 83 were in the offing, which we were going to get sometime soon. And that sometime soon, some people thought was still going to be within 2016. This did not happen until May this year. From what we know now, how soon do you think we could negotiate for the successful release of the remaining 113?
Well, what we should understand that negotiation of this kind that has to do with dealing with a terrorist organization, an outlawed group, comes with a number of uncertainties and risk. And one of which is that you are basically not sure of what may come out of it. And there have been trials in the past which failed. And now the presence of international monitors gave confidence and guarantees to both sides that that will lead to something positive, of which that was what happened. Now, the first phase of the release of 21 girls is all in the process of the negotiation. Over time, there was belief on the side of the government that every negotiation may be a scam. In fact, that was what happened in the last administration. And there was also this belief on the side of the insurgents that most of these negotiations were simply booby traps set up to arrest them and kill them. Now that made it impossible for previous negotiators to achieve success. But this time around, something different came, and that was international monitors. And it was possible to achieve because of these components of presence of these factors. But the first release of the 21 girls was to build confidence to both sides that this time it was for real. And then the second now that came up, though before this one here, there were a lot of hitches and challenges the negotiators faced. But at the end of the day, they were able to succeed. And I knew very well that the next phase of negotiation is going to come. Now, when you still have some of the girls in detention, it's not every of the information that should be disclosed to the public naturally, because the girls, there are still people they are being kept. And some of these informations, if they were divulged, perhaps it may affect the next phase of negotiation. And in a situation also like this, you have people prefer to keep quiet. The international monitors prefer to give limited information of their participation. And the government couldn't go much beyond what people will speculate. And the negotiators also are not people who will come out to the TV and say, we are the ones who negotiated.
But did we have Nigerians amongst them?
Among who?
The negotiators.
Of course, the negotiators were Nigerians. They were Nigerians, of course. And then, but for now...
We can't say where the negotiations took place?
The negotiations took place in a number of places, and I would still prefer that, based on the fact that we still have some of them there, I think it's better we keep it to reserve it for next time. But I can say it clearly that the negotiator who led to the release of these girls is a Nigerian, of course. And the monitors that were known, that were appreciated by the presidency, the Swiss and the ICRC, also they did a very fantastic, good job. Without them, it could be a very difficult thing to achieve.
Well, the ICRC has been explaining its own role in terms of what its own, what role it played. They said that they were just, like the holding body, the transferring body between the two parties.
Well, let me tell you the role played by both sides. And then that is, first of all, you have two contending parties, the government here and then the terrorists on the other side. And then you have a negotiator who will provide terms of agreement and conditions for both sides, listen to both sides and then transmit it to both sides and then bring it to the table and reach a deal. Now, the Swiss, even though they are reserved in their presence, and I think they were appealing that some of their participation should not be made too public, and that was it. But they monitored the process, and then the ICRC actually told the negotiators that they don't mediate between groups, but they facilitate, and that is providing the transportation and other from bomb logistics. And they did it in the first instance and they did the second instance. Because when you talk of participation and providing logistics, if you are to transport the girls from point A to B, and the insurgents may not be comfortable having a police van or military vehicle coming close to them, but such a group that is recognized worldwide and its presence in conflict zones in Syria, Iraq, and so many places where you have this kind of conflicts, they simply provide confidence to both sides that this is not something of a scam or trying to get them down. So what the ICRC said was the fact, and they made that very clear when they were invited in, that they will not mediate, but they will provide facilities for the evacuation of the girls, and that's what they did.